Why is nobody playing these races? The data is shocking. I'm not shocked by some of this stuff. First of all, obviously, you got all the sexual fetish races out there, right? The Drakthir, the Worgen, the Volpera, you know, all that shit. And then you got the big boys, right? I play as a human. It's the only race I play as in this game, and that's because I'm a big dick human. Of course, it's what I am in real life. It's what I am in the game. Why would I play as anything else? And then you got obviously all the Elven races and shit. Let's see where all these races rank out. Let's see what the most played races in this game are right now. Let's get racist. Oh god, this video's gonna get banned. Here we go.
We got the most up-to-date stats on playable races, and while it's like 35% of players are playing some version of an elf, people really don't like the Earthen with less.
That was 3 realies, okay? 3 realies. Why do people not like the Earthen? They're fucking tall dwarves. It's like an oxymoron. What are you talking about? You made a dwarf race that's taller than a dwarf? The fuck? Also, they got rocks. They're just made of rocks. They ain't that cool. If you want to play Horde as a dwarf, that's the only reason I can imagine somebody playing Earthen. Otherwise, all the other dwarves have way cooler lore than the Earthen, let's be honest.
0.5% playing the Alliance version. Furthermore, some races, despite being in the game since forever, are also not exactly popular. Looks like the Pandaren never really became.
Also, if their beards are made of wire, doesn't that mean their pubes are also made of wire? Does anyone want to play a class or a race that has wiry pubes? I don't think so. Let's just move on.
Mainstream, and the Dracula population seems to have increased a little bit
Copper
over the
wire.
past year, despite quite a bit of backlash within the community. However, based on these stats, let's see how the Haranir are also going to perform, as personally, based on the recent reception, I don't think they're really going to outdo the Earthen by a lot.
I don't think so.
Of course, time will tell. So, let's look.
I think more people will play as Haranir because they're a bit sexier, but otherwise, I don't see a lot of people playing as them.
Look at the current stats that we have. Warhammer, Red Dead Redemption, WoW Game Time, Destiny. You can get all of this at amazing prices with my link in the description below. You also got mobile top-ups, software, a bunch more with the best prices on the market. Better yet, if you use my code DORON, you will get another discount on top, so click my link in the description and get the best deals ever at Gamivo. So, I've talked about this about a year ago when we first got this really interesting information that was super cool to look at, and that might have kind of been the reason as to why.
Okay, let's see here real quick. Let me move my camera. Earthen are down here behind the G Fuel. Get your G Fuel. Use code Samiccus. There you go. You got the Earthen down here. Mechanome right above them. Pandaren, of course. Kultiran. I'm surprised Kultiran aren't higher. Now, I think recently, didn't Blizzard remove like the requirement to unlock a lot of these races? I think maybe you still got to do a quest line. Honestly, Blizzard just dropped that shit. Like, if you're a new person coming into the game, I feel like there's no reason why you got to learn why the Kultiran joined the Alliance anymore. What the fuck? Just have them. They can make them. It doesn't matter. Since day one, they've been part of the Alliance to you and your mind, so just let them make them. I think putting that quest line blocks people from actually making this shit. Goblins, High Mountain Tauren, Lightforge, Draenei. Yeah, okay. Top Boys, Blood Elf, Night Elf, Human, Orc. Makes sense. Human and Night Elf for the Alliance. Blood Elf and Orc for the Horde, of course. Void Elves are just Blood Elves, but on the Alliance. Okay. Tauren, Troll, Undead, Dwarf, Draenei. Yep, a lot of this makes sense.
Doing certain things, as we realized that like 35% of the players are playing some version of an elf, with Blood Elves alone being 15% of the game. That kinda might explain why the Void is invading Qualtalas, why there is so much Elven lore recently, why many main characters are elves, and also, as the Night Elves are just around 15% as well, it might explain the entire recent Night Elven capital and such, and it might even explain the Haranir, which are strongly linked to the Night Elves. However, I thought it would be interesting to look back on this statistic, most importantly because we've had some races that were absolutely terrible. I mean, we had like 0.2% of players
Neutral pandas are at the bottom of the list, of course. Yeah, and look how, man, the Earthen are just not played at all. My god. And especially less on the Alliance and the Horde, obviously, because the Alliance have the real dwarves. Who the fuck wants to be a stony dwarf?
Playing Earthen, making them literally more rare to see than certain mounts in the game. Now, realistically, with the competitive aspects of the game, I mean, people pick a lot of races to play just based on the racials alone. But
also, like, there's nothing unique about the Earthen silhouette, and for the most part, when you're playing this game, you're covered in gear. Right? Like, most races in the game, you can tell what they are when they're covered in gear from their silhouette. Like, even though Kultirans are humans, I can tell when you're a Coltirian because you got the big boy beer belly, right? Like, it's obvious you're taller too. Or Zandalari trolls and regular trolls. Yes, they're both trolls, but their silhouettes are so different that even if you're covered up in gear, you can tell which one is which. Earthen are just like 2 inches taller as dwarves. What the fuck? What are you talking about? Okay, so even if I saw an Earthen in my group, unless they're standing next to another dwarf, I'm probably not even going to know it's an Earthen. So what's the point of even making them?
Information this statistic tells us anything, it is that people really prefer the bread and butter races, and they really don't like the more goofy looking races. I don't really know how to put it, that are not that imposing, like the Pandaren, Gnomes, Goblins, Valpyra, and the like. Keep in mind, the info I'm talking about is coming from data for Azeroth, which is not like Blizzard official.
Well, let me see one other thing about this really quick. Valpyra, so we have 2.9% Valpyra. Let's pull this up real quick. 2.9% Valpyra. Okay. And where are the Worgen? Where are the Worgen? Where are they? There we go. 2.5% Worgen. We got Drakthir on here. Yeah, we got Drakthir on here. 2.1 Horde and 1.9. So 2.1 and 1.9. Okay, so a 9.4. Who else am I missing? Anybody? No. Okay, 9.4% of this game, this player base, is based on sexual fetishes. And if we go back, we can also divide this up here. We can see that 5.4% of the WoW players are furries. 5.4% are furries. Now, you can add pandas in there. If we want to get the true furry number, maybe we add pandas. They are technically furry. I don't know if you would consider them a furry. Maybe, yeah, you would. Why not? Yeah, big boy bears, of course. So 8.3%. 8.3% of WoW players are furries. Confirmed right here. You heard it here first. Big news dropping from Samiccus today. 8.3%. Now, this is out of the closet furries. There's probably a lot of closeted furries as well in this game. So if I had to, I'd say 10%. 10% of the WoW player race are furries.
Not like Blizzard officially
Huge
released their
WoW news,
inner
yeah.
stats that they're working with, but I would say it is pretty accurate. I mean, it analyzes the Warcraft armory and
got
everything that is
2%
publicly
closeted
available
furries.
to come up with various statistics. And now, looking back a year later, some stats have actually changed. I mean, there have been some trends. In my initial video, I was shocked at how 0.2% of people were playing the Earthen, and I've kind of chalked it up to the War Within being so new, so many people didn't even get into the new race yet. But now, as mid—
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's just because it's new, because I guarantee you when Burning Crusade came out, the percentage of the player base playing Blood Elves was massive. Massive, absolutely huge. It's because they were a desired race, a wanted race. They look cool. The lore was cool. I don't think you can chalk it up to just, well, it's a new expansion at all.
He's officially started with the pre-patch. I think
everybody made a Blood Elf when Burning Crusade came out.
And they have increased, but barely. I mean, I'm talking about moving from 0.2% to 0.5%, which of course is a pretty big increase, but let's not pretend like it is any sort of a significant change. Furthermore, it's important to know that we're looking at this based on max player characters, as we all got a bunch of different alts on various levels. Now, to be fair, the stats are a bit skewed. As I said, most players play the core races, the ones that were here from vanilla, and it might be because a lot of people started playing back in the day and have kept the same mains, but still—
Female Blood Elf tunes are 100% based on a fetish? What do you mean? They're just sexy. It's not a fetish. You're attracted to beautiful women? I don't think that's a fetish, is it? I don't know what you would define as a fetish. They're just hot, of course. Now, I don't know, most female Blood Elves are probably men in real life, so maybe that's like some kind of cross-dressing or tranny fetish, maybe, I don't know. But I wouldn't consider that to be a fetish if you find a Blood Elf attractive.
some races are just not popular no matter—
Maybe an elf fetish, maybe. Maybe you could say that. But the truth is, they're just sexy.
how long they have been in the game. For example, gnomes have been here since the start initially, and they are only at 1.9%. Draenei, together with the Lightforged Draenei, are just under 5%, which is not actually that bad. And the Pandaren are doing really badly, like 2.5% of players across both the Horde and the Alliance are playing with him, with the Alliance Pandaren being at only 1.2%. I'm a bit surprised that the Worgen had not gotten more players, as they are more savage-looking race. They have been in the game for a really long time, and they're also humans, which are pretty popular. Just
I think the Worgen numbers would pop the hell off if Worgen ever went Horde as well. Like if Worgen went cross-faction, I think you would have a lot more people playing them for two reasons. One, okay, you open up more furry options to the Horde, of course. And then two, it would give the Horde like a human. option. I think there are a lot of people who would like to play humans on the Horde. I do. And like you guys always fucking joke about me playing as a human. Look, they're one of the most popular races in the game. And the one thing that holds them back for, I'm sure, a percentage of the player base is that they can't play on the Horde as a human. There you go.
Humans alone, but Worgen are also only at 1.9%.
We play Horde to avoid humans.
Gnomes. Technically, more people play the Vulpera than they play the Worgen, which personally I've
That's
found
crazy.
surprising. Now, interesting enough, it does seem like the Draktyr population has increased slightly by a few decimals, and we're now looking at close to 5% of Draktyr players across the Horde and the
Also confirm these numbers say a lot of things here. A lot of things are being told by a lot of stories being told here. So there's more scaly fetish people on the Horde than the Alliance. Okay, more Horde like scalies than the Alliance. One thing I will say is if they ever made Draktyr bulky, right? If you could have the bulky boy Draktyrs, I bet you'd see these numbers go up. But the problem is it's like a tween version of a dragon. It's kind of weird. It's kind of sexual fetish thing. So that's why a lot of people don't play them.
Alliance, but personally, I don't think
this
that
video is
because
just
the
becoming a
community
sex
really
fetish
loves
video.
Draktyr. I think it is because they have their own
I don't even know where I'm
class,
going.
So in this case, they're different from any other race that we have on this list. I'm guessing if the Evokers were available to other races, we might see a smaller Draktyr population. However, a race that people are really not a fan of now multiple years into the saga are the Earthen. I'm talking 0.5% to the Alliance and 1.2% across both factions, so Horde and the Alliance combined. Now, this is an increase, as I said, but still, like, every 1 in 100 people are playing the Earthen. I think the big reason for that is because, like, when it comes down to it, I mean, they're literally just a reskin race. I mean, they're barely any different from the Dwarves, and keep in mind, Dwarves are actually top 5 playable races right behind the Orcs, and right under the humans with 5% of people playing them. So it's not really a dwarf problem.
No, I mean, not only that, if you obviously like dwarves are extremely played, but then you also add in dark iron dwarves. Where are they? Right here at 2.1%. That would put dwarves like on par with orcs. Right? You're like almost as many dwarves in this game as there are orcs. Dark iron dwarves and dwarves are the same shit. They're just two different skin tones. That's it. Dark Iron Dwarves are right here if you guys couldn't see them because of my head. So, I mean, yeah, Dwarves obviously are played a lot, but who the hell, like I said, wants to be a slightly taller, rock-based version of a Dwarf? What the hell? Dark Irons are badass. They have cool lore. It's very different.
So it's not really a dwarf problem, it's more that the Earthen are just not that interesting. I mean, more people are playing the Horde Earthen. I'm guessing that is because you could technically be a dwarf within the Horde, but these numbers are still very, very low. Now, I would be interested to revisit this in about a year to see how the Haranir are going to be doing, but personally, my predictions is that they might barely do better than the Earthen. I think Blizzard might have realized how unpopular the Earthen are, so they decided to make a race that is like an offshoot of the Elves and the Trolls, which are still the most popular.
Yeah, I don't blame any Horde who play what's it called, Earthen at all, because that's their only option for dwarves. I get that totally, and that's why there are more Horde that play Earthen than there are Alliance. That totally makes sense. But if you're playing on the Alliance, why the hell would you pick an Earthen over a Dark Iron or a regular dwarf? It doesn't make sense. The other two are so much cooler.
Races, but somehow I don't think that is going to hit the mark, as there is barely any hype about the upcoming race. What I personally don't understand is why does Blizzard seem to be...
This is not going to hit the mark. If they had given us playable ethereals, I guarantee you a decent percentage base of the player base would have played as ethereals, or even more, or sorry, not even more, but another good one, Zandalari Trolls. I think Zandalari Trolls would have been more appealing to people than the Haranir. I mean, who... We got Horwayna and the Haraniir talking about their feelings about Azeroth and shit. Who gives a shit? Give me fucking Zandalari troll. Not Zandalari, I meant to say Amani. I said Zandalari. Amani trolls. Big, bulky, badass trolls with cool lore. Amani trolls have been around since the beginning of the High Elves and all that shit, so they're really cool. Or ethereals. Obviously, ethereals were a big call-out. We just went through an entire ethereal patch, and then Blizzard's like, we're not going to give you this one that's been requested since the fucking times when we saw them back in Burning Crusade and Netherstorm. We're going to give you these fucking weird-looking trolls, night elves. Okay, fine. Yeah, of course it's not going to hit the same way.
Pushing these random, like completely random races when they got so many that the community has requested
Murlocs,
over the years that have also been a part of the factions, like the Ogres or
the
Naga,
Ogres,
for example.
The ogres would be another very popular one. The Naga would be a popular one, yes.
Well, instead, they decided to just reskin dwarves in the War Within and give us Haranir, which really seems like cut or moved content from the War Within into Midnight. Also, based on how bad the hype has been for Midnight, like objectively so far, I don't think the Haranir are going to be that much of like a deciding factor. I mean, you can just see based on the official videos that Blizzard released, like overviewing the upcoming release, people are not exactly crazy about it, just based on the video views, the comments, and the general.
I think this is the reason most people will play Haranir. If they do decide to, it's because of if they want to play as a druid, like they like their druid forms. That's about it.
Mood about this discussion. Based on the fact that they're technically a new race and not a reskin, I think they may be more popular than the Earthen, but I don't think they're going to overtake them drastically. Also, the Haranir so far seem really weird. I mean, based on the lore that we had discovered in the beta, where they're turning them into these like ever-knowing children of the earth that know every event that ever happened, yet they never did anything, and literally no one ever.
How can you customize ethereals, though? There's so many ways you could customize ethereals. Part of it would be like, well, already in Drakthir, it includes like part of their armor is their customization. So the bandages, different versions of bandages, different wrappage, you know, percentage of your body that's wrapped up. Obviously, the colors of the ethereal shit that you've got going on, that could be another way to customize them. The colors of your glowy bits and your bandage bits and all that other. There's plenty of ways they could customize ethereals, no doubt. But and at the end of the day, you're geared up too. So I mean, it's not going to show that much. But I think they could do it if they wanted to. They just didn't do it.
Saw them and no one even knew they
Glowy
existed,
undead, maybe.
which kind of tells you that they were just shoehorned in. Plus, the burning of Teldrassil was like the biggest blow to them, yet they decided to come out of hiding and join the Horde.
The Sethrak, yes, another one.
A few years back. Also, initially there were some changes to them being older than the trolls, than being the ancestors and the in-between, and so far it really seems like they have been plagued with contradictions, and I don't think Haranir is like the main card they should have played for this expansion. I honestly think they should have added them as an allied race like in BFA with multiple of these allied races and then kind of just like throwing these guys in together. As a standalone new race, I don't think people are really going crazy over this. Still, overall, I think it is pretty interesting to see stats like this, which really is the best indication on how the game is doing and what is going on, as it's just pure data, like no subjective feel over it. Of course, lore and the looks are obviously not the only factor. Personally, I think racial abilities and also some other things like in the past, how you could only be a Horde Paladin by playing a Blood Elf were probably the more important factors. However, it will be interesting to see how the Haranir fall into this, and honestly I can't say I'm too optimistic. I really hope Blizzard started throwing some really fun races our way, like the Vrykul, for example, in the last night. Thanks for watching. Check out the recent news we got of Kalendor being revamped in the near future by clicking on the screen, and check out my newly opened Witcher channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, I disagree though with the whole take that, oh, if you wanted to play a paladin on the Horde, you played Blood Elf. I guarantee you that's like a small percentage of people that actually made Blood Elves wanted to play for a certain class, race, spec combination or whatever. I just think people at the end of the day, at the most rudimentary level, play a race because they think it looks cool, or it turns them on. Okay, one of the two are the main factors to why people pick shit. I play as a human because personally I think their weapon abilities, like their animations for the way they hit shit, to me is the coolest, and the armor looks great on them. And I just like the fantasy of playing as a I don't know. It's a fantasy to me to play as a human, and I play one in real life. I don't know what it is. I just like the human aesthetic. I like it, okay? It's just how I play one. I think a lot of people, that's why they play it. It just looks cool. So there you go. I think Blood Elves are the top one because, yeah, they look cool. Humans, they look cool. Orcs, cool. Amani Trolls would have been cool. Ethereals would have been cool. Haranir, yeah, a thick Night Elf. I don't know who the fuck wants that. But anyways, nice video from Doran. Interesting numbers to look at here.